The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Good evening, and welcome to the October 2024 edition of For the Love of Words. Tonight, the featured poet is Sarah Jane Mulvey. She is a poet and nonprofit arts professional born and raised in the city of New Bedford. She is currently serving as that city's poet laureate. She is also a co-founder of Anomaly Poetry, a collective of poets and artists with the shared goals of amplifying new voices and making the art of poetry an accessible experience for all. She hosts 3 different open mic series and is an editor and contributor to Anomaly Poetry's seasonal anthologies, Rituals and Tidings. Is Rituals or Tidings, one of them is open right now for submissions, and that's until December the 1st. And we'll talk about that, Rituals and Tidings, more during the interview. But for those of you who are writers of poetry and were looking for a place perhaps to submit, Rituals and Tidings might be of interest to you. She will be the featured reader on Sunday, November the 10th, during Poetry, the Art of Words at the Plymouth Center for the Arts, along with poet Mark Walsh, who, by the way, was here as our featured poet a few months ago, along with his band, the Electric Standard. And you can catch Sarah every month during New Bedford's AHA Nights, coming up next Thursday, October the 10th, from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Co-Creative Center in downtown New Bedford. You can find Sarah's work published in past editions of Tidings and Rituals. Digital versions of those books are freely available on Anomaly Poetry's website. That's anomalypoetry.com. You can follow Anomaly's poetic adventures on social media as well, on Facebook as Anomaly Poetry and on Instagram as @anomaly.poetry. Anomaly is ANOMALY.poetry. That's the Instagram identification for it. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here. Let me start, like I do so often, by asking you, what drew you to poetry?
Oh gosh, it's a difficult question because I have been writing since I was very young, but I would say in this kind of adult, sphere outside of school, it really came into my life through other writing means. So I attended a writing workshop on a spur-of-the-moment chance. It was happening at the UMass Dartmouth CVPA building, which was, at the time, located in downtown New Bedford.
Oh, yes.
So it was happening outside my front door. I had nothing else to do that weekend, signed up for this writers' conference, and I actually studied to be a journalist in college, so I'd always been a writer, and then just sat down for this creative writing workshop and found a group of people that wanted to share work with me and share space with me. And it really became a practice in both, a creative outlet, but also a community that I was able to connect to in different ways.
Now, when you went to that workshop, were you introduced to any established poets and their work?
I was.
And who might they have been?
Yes, it was my predecessor, actually, Patricia Gomes,
Oh, yes.
Former Poet Laureate of New Bedford. And I say it jokingly that she's my fairy godmother of poetry, but that's what she feels like. She heard my work at a couple of the open mics. We workshopped a couple of things like in the classes together, and she really did encourage me. She's like, your work is good. You keep going, keep focusing on this. Your voice is there, and you just have to keep using it.
Okay.
So that was really the kind of the little kick that I needed.
Now, every town or city, not all towns and cities in Massachusetts have poet laureates, but there's a small percentage of those towns that do, and they all seem to have a different process. How does the city of New Bedford go about selecting its next poet laureate?
Sure. So we have a local cultural council, and they accept applications. So it's an application process where you send in your CV and your writing sample, and the council looks over them, chooses their top candidates, and then you do an in-person interview where those folks who looked at your writing sample and your resume interview you, ask you, very pointed questions about your work, your past efforts in the kind of community, stuff like that. And then based on that interview, they choose our next poet laureate.
Okay. And how long is your term for?
My term is 3 years, so I am actually coming up on the end of my 3-year term. And I believe the council can either reappoint me for another 3, or it goes back up for application in January of 2025.
Okay. That's good to know. The 3 poetry venues that you have in New Bedford, before we went on air, I mentioned to you how hard it is for one poetry venue in a town or city to sustain itself and survive for any length of time. But you have 3. So how did you end up with 3 poetry venues in the city of, I know the city of New Bedford is big.
Yes.
But still, how did you end up with 3 different poetry venues?
We are so fortunate in New Bedford that the wider community is invested in the artists. So I will say the one spot that we have, the Co-Creative Center, that is a gallery space, workspace, co-creating space.
Right.
So that is designated for things like open mics, workshops, classes, all kinds of stuff. But the other 2 are actually shops, retail shops, and a yoga studio. So it's community members who have already established their own places of business or, of commerce,
Right.
and have welcomed us in to host an open mic in their space. And so those places come kind of with their own following, right? Like if you're a frequent,
Right. Are they located close or far apart from each other in the city?
they're decently far apart. As you said, New Bedford's kind of big.
It is.
One, it's the Current Thoughts open mic. It happens inside the Kilburn Mill, which is located in the south end of New Bedford, kind of right on our peninsula. So it's all surrounded by water, beautiful, historic, very cool. And that's the yoga studio. So that one's got a very kind of eclectic vibe because a lot of folks walking through that mill.
Is there any significance to the title of the venue?
The Current Thoughts? Yes. Yeah. It happens inside the Current Healing Arts Yoga Studio.
Okay.
Yes. So I do try to help, name the open mic after wherever we're at. So Current Thoughts at the Current Healing Arts Studio. And then our Wild Hearts open mic happens inside the Wild Heart Herb House. Inside the Haskell Gardens, which is in kind of the west end of New Bedford, but a very secretive part of the west end of New Bedford.
Do you need a password to get in?
Kinda. You have to know the area.
You have to knock on the door and somebody opens a little peephole.
It's like the third stone down. You gotta push in and. No, it's beautiful. It's at the Haskell Gardens, which is a protected land trust for the trustees. Beautiful garden, and then this tiny little house. It used to be an artist's studio, and it is now a retail space. And so it's currently being operated as an apothecary and herb house. And the shop owner, Nico, has, workshops and other stuff going on there, and she really wanted an open mic. So she asked me, and I said
what's the name of that venue?
That is the Wild Heart Herb House.
Okay.
Wild Heart's open mic.
Yep. The next question I have is there an overlap of attendees? In other words, do the same people, the majority of the audience or the majority of the attendees at each venue, are they the same people, or do different people go to different venues?
I do find that different people go to different venues. The Wild Hearts open mic lends itself to more quiet, kind of easygoing. We kind of sit in a circle and just pass poems around in a circle. So very small and kind of calm open mic. Whereas Current Thoughts is really, it's energetic, but in a very calm way. But you never know what's going to happen in there because it's all types walking in through that mill. And it really generates a lot of conversation. So that one generates a lot more, I should say, a wider spectrum of art. We also welcome like acoustic sounds at that one.
Okay.
So, folks show up with their guitars, with their bongo drums, like it gets crazy sometimes.
Okay. So what about the gardens? What happens there?
That's the Wild Heart.
Oh, that's the Wild
That's the
Heart.
Wild Heart, yeah. But and then AHA Night, our AHA open mic, that's the one we've had the longest. So that one's very established. We have regulars that come to that one. But that one is also the most publicly kind of available. AHA Nights are open studios, it's a long-standing tradition in the city of New Bedford. It's been going on for about 25 years. And so lots of folks know about it. The whole neighborhood is busy. And so people are just walking in off the street. They find a poetry open mic and sometimes find the courage to give us a poem or two. Yeah.
So what are the different days or nights that these venues operate?
Sure. AHA Open Mic Night is on the second Thursday of every month. So the next one's October 10th. The Wild Heart Open Mic is the third Friday of every month. So from today, that would be this Friday, the 20th. But in case you're seeing this in October, that's going to be October 18, I believe. And then the Current Thoughts Open Mic happens on the last Sunday of every month in the afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay. Now, I've had the great pleasure of hearing you read your work. And so I think the audience is going to really enjoy hearing you read it. And we wish you the very best of luck. So thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Awesome.
And we look forward to hearing you read tonight.
Thank you very much. This first piece, title is Ode to the Pit. I have followed you from the living room to the Middle East, each dark, sweating corner of our shared universe more difficult to control than the last. Your power growing, the tempest of bodies and voices and memories, flooding the basement, shaking the walls. Your words have reached in and pulled out the poet, the animal. This dance floor you have built has cared for me. In all my smallness and fear, I have been righted and steadied, shoved along and celebrated. I make my voice heard above the din, throw myself into the maelstrom, snarling and bruised. I claim my space with outstretched arms, lungs filled to bursting. And when it got too hard to hold my own against the rushing fray, I sat at the bottom, my legs going numb, and you came swinging through, grabbed me by my collar, hoisted me to my feet, blood streaming down your face, wild eyes and shining smile, and you shook me and screamed, "Are you okay?" And all I heard, "Does anything still hurt? Can't you feel the music pulsing beneath us? Feel the bass in your chest? How could anything still hurt in all this chaos, in all this beauty?" The second piece I wrote in sort of the tradition of a poet laureate to write a poem for the new year. And so this one was written on my first New Year as poet laureate, which was actually New Year 22. So kind of a dark moment in our collective kind of timeline. The title is The Raven Oracle. The raven visited on New Year's Day, black tourmaline breast and amber eyes, ancestor or omen I can't be sure, but I'll listen when called. The day dawned gray and misted, no shine to this new hour. The clock still numbly ticks and infection rates still climb. The raven perched on my windowsill, onyx beak and gravel voice, prophet, omen, I can't be sure, but I study the signs I am given. Gentle guardian, guide to the other side, will you bring us through, or should we follow you now into oblivion? Only your keen mind knows why, and we children must learn. So we will try our wits at surviving and hope to sing again the old lang syne. In keeping with that kind of mystical moment, this next piece was written in the middle of a snowstorm in Salem, Massachusetts. Salem, 2022. The earth has memory. The elements have memory. Time remembers all. We, in our proud ignorance, think that we understand. We, who have charted the paths of distant stars and unknown planets, but do not yet know the dark depths of our own ocean or the caverns of our own minds. And so we, in our haughty ignorance, forget. But the sun finds its way back, glaring off of frozen rooftops in an old, familiar way. What does he remember? Does the snow recall the way names fell from the mouths of children? Does the earth know by heart the way men fall into traps of their own clawing bigotry and hatred? The wind conjures up desperate pleas to God, all gone unheeded. The fire can never forget prayers for mercy, cowering at the hearth, waiting for this haunted season to pass. They ask us, why don't you return to what you once knew to be true? That man's fate is in the earth, man's truth is in the elements, that time and its ravages will linger long after your crooked, menacing gallows and these cruel, decaying courts. Your money, your borders, your religion, all phantoms of your own creation. The earth holds no memory of it, the elements do not understand it, and time will not preserve it. This piece is published in Tidings 2023, which John mentioned in our interview earlier, is currently open for seasons for the 2024 book now through December 1st. My information will be somewhere in the show, so please feel free to send me your best wintry works. This is titled Ebenezer. Not the name, but kind of. But Ebenezer means a commemoration of divine assistance and the stone of help. There was an influx of boys named Ebenezer in the years following the Salem witch trials. Little lives born without the knowledge of man's cruelty, of the wickedness of the world, a generation hopeful to build the world anew, to bring the light their parents had searched for, a stone to mark the turning point, to remind us of love and its saving power. What weight to put on little shoulders, such a chore to ask of someone so new. I won't welcome a child into this world. My body won't be someone's first home, and that's fine with me. I can barely survive this body and this place, can hardly stand the barrage of noise, of terror and gloom that hangs over nearly every day. I've of course imagined dozens of names, Aisling, Imogen, Elijah, dreams and visions, innocence and shimmer, with curls and bright blue eyes. But what a comfort to know they are only stardust, smoke, and hope, that they remain out there somewhere, well away from the bullets and the fire, far from the screaming rage. I will carry on, of course, gifted this life that we should see through, if not for my sake, then for someone else's, for you, my dear friends, and your children, so that we may yet build a world worthy of them. Mine own Ebenezer, divine love, the stone that holds me here. This one is published in Rituals 2024, which was our largest project to date, and I'm incredibly proud of it. We had over 80 artists submit for that book, and it is one of our largest and most eclectic to date. That is our summer book, and that won't open until the spring. So hold off on the summer poems, just send me the winter stuff for now. But this one is called Beachcombing. Ocean of woman, holding more than you ever dreamed possible, capable of great beauty and terrifying destruction. Even the shadowy unknown of you teems with life, with the fire of creation. Little shards of who you were twinkle in the sun. They've been softened into beauty, frosted over with time, churned through stone and crystal, and ground into the shimmering bedrock of you. Hold them up to the sun. The bright green of girlhood laughter that echoes across the water, growing, renewed, and plentiful. The leaves of a beloved tree, the grass of a secret, half-remembered grove, running without fear of pain, singing without shame. The stunning cobalt heartbreak, thick and heavy, almost hard to see. Strange, unidentifiable shapes and half-formed words. The cheaper stuff is flimsy. It's colored nearly blanched away. But the real stuff, the old and the well-made, is blue like music, like blood in the veins. Sweet, shining pieces of sun-bleached grief. What used to be so clear and so pointed carries a shimmer, turns the sweetest shade of lilac, deepening as the years go by, exposed and resurfacing at spring tides. She has been lost to time, to the inevitable push and pull, yet we keep her safe here in tiny jewelry boxes, in secret drawers, scatterings of sweet memory and long afternoons of nothingness. You hold her pieces with the same hands, see her with the same eyes, and love her with a heart remade. In keeping with the kind of beachy theme, this piece was written after an amazing exhibit at the New Bedford Whaling Museum that was called The Culture of Seaweed. And in that kind of exhibit, I learned that seaweed, they can't neatly classify seaweed as a plant or like a water, I'm trying to think of the word. Anyway, they can't classify seaweed. It's its own thing. It's not a plant. It's not an ocean, anemone or algae or anything like that. It's its own thing. And so that kind of sparked my imagination as to where this little alien plant came from. And so this poem is called Porphyra. In the beginning, there was only the starlight and silence, only the blessed darkness. There was no greed, no hunger. How sweet our lives seemed while we were dreaming. How full of wakeful possibility. In the light, we were beautiful, sun-dappled and rippling. We couldn't contain our laughter, lilting, unkempt, and teeming. And now, standing at the edge, fathoms above, I feel no fear. I have known love and sunlight, but the rest is here at my feet, the salt and stardust, the unknowable dark. I do not fear them. We have held each other before. This piece is titled Roscommon 1885. A freckled woman sits beside her fire, the central heartbeat within her steadfast walls. She tends to the flame by day, cooking and sewing and caring for small hands and hungry mouths. She banks the embers at night to steal a few hours of precious sleep. She keeps them alive through famine and unrest and outright war until they are grown and can drift across the sea, leaving her walls in the sweetest of shambles. She lights candles in her window, says her lengthy prayers to St. Bridget that they'll find their way home eventually. Her children thrive. They build homes and families of their own. They do not return. Some lie in the pallid earth of distant lands, and some visit, but will not call it home. They keep her traditions, the language, the food, the candles, but they forget to pass them on, raise their children across the sea with promises of more than their first home could keep. Another freckled woman sits beside her fire, a grateful wretch trying to reconnect. She lights the kindling, watches the brilliant dance of amber, gold, and indigo. She lights the candles, recites her exuberant prayers to the goddess Brigid. She doesn't understand why the scent of dark earth or mist rising from the snow makes her cry. It's a gentle reminder, those echoes, assurances of the skittishness of fate. All right, and this last piece was written for my beloved. It's called Hawthorne. I have known your name in many lifetimes. I'll rediscover it in many more. We share in the harmony of living things, grow and age and come to be. We have seen the passing of years, waxing and waning, bitter cold and scorching heat. We are ageless, returning season after season to now, to here, together. I find your likeness in midsummer hydrangea, riotously bright and radiantly blooming. I cannot help but smile at them. I see you clearly in amber, glowing with an ancient knowledge turned into something beautiful I can hold in my hands. I find you in the trees, steadfast and sprawling. You will stretch through hurricane and lightning strike, strong and rejuvenating. I sense you in the stars, a primordial fire burning across the ages to find me here and now. How fortunate we are that this time we returned as flesh, blood and bone and lust, words and dance and laughter. I pray that you will return to the trees and I to the birds, so that I may make my home in you season after season, here, now, together.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I'm Abby Malafato.
And I'm
Coming to you from 50 Oliver in North Easton, this is Easton News and
Don't have time to stay up and watch ECAT channels all day long, or miss your favorite show's time slot? Don't worry, ECAT has a YouTube channel that has all the programs that we show, so you don't have to miss any of the episodes or catch up on past episodes. Search Easton Cat TV, with TV being the only capital letters. The YouTube channel has playlists for every program, even some of the programs you can download a podcast version. We even stream live events through our channel. To stay up to date with ECAT programming, make sure you look up ECAT's YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get all the alerts for the new programming premiere, and change the alerts to all to make sure you receive all of them. Remember to search Easton Cat TV, with TV being the capital letters. So there's no reason to miss any of the ECAT programming. Enjoy. Yeah. This is the life. Just relaxing by the beach. What could be better than this?
I've got an idea.
What?
I'd really like to find a forever home.
Forever home?
Yeah, like Jack Ryan talks about on Easton News. A forever home. All those animals at the APCSM, they get forever homes. Why not us?
Listen, man, I hate to tell you this.
Tell me what? Come on, tell me. Look, I can take it. Look at me. Come on, tell me. I can take it. Come on.
We're not real.
What are you talking about? Of course we're real. Look at us. We're sitting here on the beach, on vacation, being served raw meat, mind you. We're having a great time. How are we not real? No, thank you. I'm good. I've had enough. I've had enough. Thank you. What are you talking about? Of course we're real.
Look, it's not that we're not real. We're just not living, breathing animals. You don't even have a mouth, dude.
Well, oh yeah? Well, your eyes are just plastic.
Right back at you.
You've ruined my vacation. I can't believe you've done this.
I mean, well, while we're at it, why do we need a vacation? It's not like you have a job.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I'm out of here.
Cubby, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Oh, well, you have to get it eventually.
If you'd like to get your hands on a cubby of your own, scan the QR code on your screen now.
There's a storm.
Join me, Priscilla Almquist Olsen, to explore the town of Easton and its interesting, engaging, ordinary, and extraordinary people, and meet a smorgasbord of guests, including artists, authors, musicians, business owners, community organizations, clergy, local leaders, etc., etc., etc. Community Forum at 3 p.m. on Thursdays and 1:30 p.m. on Saturdays. See you then. Welcome to For the Love of Words. I'm Priscilla Almquist Olsen, your host, and today it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome a New England native who has been living outside of Nashville for 37 years. But he's really a New Englander at heart, I know. He graduated from the University of Connecticut and grew up in Newington, Connecticut. So welcome, Mark Anthony. How are you today?
Thank you, Priscilla. I'm honored that you would have me on your show. Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Well, we're honored to have you. You're so talented, so creative, and have produced wonderful lyrics as well as music. And
Thank you.
tell me how you got started on this journey, maybe from your childhood influences?
Yeah, absolutely. I studied when I grew up. I was taking trumpet lessons as a young boy, and those trumpet lessons stopped when I was 8 years old. Now, from that time to when I was in high school, and I saw a guy playing guitar on a bus somewhere, I thought immediately, I want to do what that guy's doing. He's bringing so much joy to all these people. So I picked up a guitar, and from the time that I ended my trumpet lessons, I had forgotten to read music, right? All those years had gone by. So from that point on, I relied on my God-given talents, and God blessed me with having a very good ear for music. And so I was self-taught right at the beginning playing guitar. And then as I got in college, I started to solidify that a little bit with some basic ear training theory courses. I took a semester of classical guitar training just to be dangerous enough to know what I'm doing on the instrument, right? But I'm definitely not a classically trained musician in that instrument. All these years I've been self-taught, listened to other people. And from those, even the basic rudimentary lessons that I got in college, I have combined that with some other things that, influences that I listened to growing up, and combined it to form my own style of a finger style of playing guitar. And of course, now I play electric and acoustic, and I have a full band here in Franklin, Tennessee, headquartered out of my home, called the Mark Anthony Ensemble. And I got here by way of New England. It's funny that you mentioned that, because before I moved here, I was already writing songs when I was in college. That's when I got my acoustic roots down. At that point, I was playing with an acoustic band in college, and they wanted me to quit school and go on the road with them, which I told them I was laser focused in getting my degree, that if they wanted me to go on the road, they had to wait until I graduated. And they did that. And so I went on the road with them, and strangely enough, they were called on the road again, and toured for about 5 years all over New England. And that's how I got my acoustic roots down, if you will. Okay. Because I played a lot of acoustic music in college. And then I formed a country rock band after that was over. And we competed in the Connecticut State Finals. Back then, it was the Dodge True Value Country Showdown. First prize in the nation was a recording contract in Nashville. And I had my sights set for Nashville because I knew that was the home of not only country music, but of original music, if you will, right? And there was no outlet for original music up there. So we won the state finals. We were the only Connecticut band to ever win the state finals in this particular competition. So we went on to compete in the semifinals in upstate New York. And unfortunately, We lost in the semifinals. Had I won that, I would have been in Nashville a little sooner. But I had my sights, focused for Nashville. So I came here in 1987 and tried to establish myself as an artist, as a new artist, and as a singer-songwriter. Basically, that's what I came here for. And that has panned out after all these years, 34 years of trying and getting nowhere. And then about 3 years ago, I got discovered on social media and was signed to an independent record label. I now have 10 singles out on 80 platforms worldwide and gaining more and more notoriety as an artist here in Nashville.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Congratulations.
Thank
Mark.
you.
That is such a great success story. And you obviously have that never give up feeling and drive.
Absolutely.
Never
Yes.
give up, never give up. And that's the only way. And I bet you that this never give up wasn't so hard because you love what you do.
Sure. And that's the bottom line to it. I mean, I didn't come here to be the next Garth Brooks. God's blessed me with a gift of music, right? And that music has touched so many people in different ways. And I say this to younger people, younger than myself, right? That it's not just a story about perseverance. If God has gifted you uniquely, I would say this as an aside, music is the only unique medium that has the ability to change people's mindsets and their subconscious against their will or without their will, if you will. It's a wonderful medium, and it touches people's hearts and changes lives even. So I say to people, if God's gifted you uniquely to be a singer, a songwriter, whatever it is that you do musically, use that gift to its fullest, because you never know who's out there who may be touched by a lyric or a passage or a song. That I cannot tell you how many shows I've done where people come up and say, man, I'm going through a divorce. I just lost a mother, a father, a loved one. And that lyric really touched me. And so, if I can bring a few smiles to people's faces, I don't have to have a million streams to do that. I don't have to be the next Taylor Swift. If I bless somebody with music, I say to anybody who's gifted in that way, don't give up on your dreams, because you may be in a position where you can really touch some people's lives. And that's what I'm out there trying to do. I love what it is that I do. I haven't reached the goal that I would like to yet, but I'm bringing enjoyment to people through the medium of music. And that's what I love. So that's what I keep doing.
And not only joy, but you're undoubtedly bringing a lot of peace to people too. Peace when they are challenged with life's difficulties. So tell me about, let's go through your songs. Tell me about them and how they came about.
Yeah. I don't write as a editorial writer. I don't write, fiction, if you will, but I write pretty much autobiographical music. It's about a lot of lost loves, or about love and relationships, either lost loves, found loves, broken loves, things that people can relate to.
Okay.
I also wrote a song last year. It was released around Christmas time. It wasn't written as a Christmas story. It was written as a relationship story about how I found God in my life. And it was intended to come out Christmas time as a testimony song. So I write different ranges of music, but I would say more or less they are autobiographical to some extent.
Okay, and I've heard that from so many writers, so many songwriters.
Yeah.
We only have about a minute left, but tell me,
Sure.
of the ones we're going to play that you've sent us, which one do you feel is the most meaningful to you?
They're all uniquely different, as you'll hear, different flavors, different textures, different rhythms. I would say if they're going to play the mystery, of course, that is my testimony song. But For You in particular, not only came out great in the studio, but it focuses more on traditional dating and courtship, something that we've kind of lost over the years. It is a love story, somewhat autobiographical on how I courted my wife when I courted her and did the formal dating thing. But I wrote it in such a way that it's generically understandable and universally appealing in that way. And it came out great as kind of a pop rock song.
Okay. So your
Yep.
range is pretty, you have a big range. And
Yes.
you're able to, and that's very appealing, I think, to an audience when they may not like country rock, but they like pop. And there you are. So thank you, Mark Anthony, so much for being my guest today.
What a pleasure.
And continued success and joy in what you do and in the joy that you bring to so many people worldwide.
Thank you.
Worldwide.
That is such kind words. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
Okay. And hopefully we'll see each other again sometime soon.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Come to one of my shows.
Yes, ma'am. You've got that southern sound down to a key, don't you? Okay. Thank you, Mark. Bye now.
We got a full moon tonight, shining upon your face. In the cool of the night, walking you back to your place. I held you close in a final embrace for you. The crazy way that you smile, loving it more each day. That awesome look in your eyes, blue as the skies today. I promise I will love you forever, and will provide a love that is true for you. All of my heart and soul too. All of my love for you. All of my heart and soul too. Now and forever, all of my love for you. The rains will come and the winds they may blow, but I will keep you safe from the storm for you. All of my heart and soul too. All of my love for you. All of my heart and soul too. Now and forever, all of my love for you. All of my heart and soul too. Everything for you. All of my heart and soul too. Now and forever, all of my love for you. He knelt down to find an answer. His hands were folded quietly in prayer. He was praying for a reason. From the depths of his despair, heard the words of Jesus. He asked of him, and this was his reply. Oh, Jesus, where can I find you in a world untrue? If you're looking for me, I live in you. Then the mystery unfolded. He asked the Lord to come into his heart. It's an overwhelming feeling when you find the missing part. And though he tries to understand it, you can't deny the mystery of faith. Oh, Jesus, where can I find you in a world untrue? If you're looking for me, I live in you. Well, your sins have been forgiven. You were once in chains, but now you're free. And your spirit lives inside you.